Hey everyone, welcome back to Greedo's Gold Mine, the most bipolar toy show on all the interwebs. Again, we're gonna steer away from toys and go into the gold mine of knowledge. And so, in my last post, I talked a little bit about why Greedo's Gold Mine finally. Excuse me, I got a little bit of hiccups there as I go. Funny enough. Um, and as you guys learned, it's a healing process for me, collecting and kind of creating this community to spread awareness for narcissistic abuse and domestic abuse situations towards males, especially, just as much as it is to have some fun playing with some toys. And so, yeah, and telling you guys that this is a channel for healing, I did not really tell you necessarily what it looks like or feels like to be male in a narcissistically abusive relationship. And so let's talk about that some and, even get into what it means to start healing. So without further ado, I guess, let's get into my story. So narcissistic abuse is not very well understood, unfortunately, amongst a lot of mental health professionals. I've been finding out a lot about it, funny enough, through YouTube here, through sources like Dr. Ramani, Richard Grannon, others like them that are true experts in the field. And really only in the last couple years myself. So again, let's go back to my own mental health. I am bipolar 1. I've been diagnosed, undiagnosed, and re-diagnosed. I've kind of had a challenging life at times. I've done a lot of therapy, obviously, and in that therapy learned a lot about myself and my experiences. I have found out that throughout my life and family, there have been a lot of narcissistic influences. That does really change who you are from an early age as an individual, and kind of sets a path for life for you that you don't always recognize as happening, especially when it comes to picking a partner. You really, as a male, do kind of want your mom's approval ultimately at the end of the day, typically for your spouse. And if your mom's not always healthy due to life circumstances that are out of your hands, you're not always going to pick a healthy partner either, especially if that example in your mom's eye is a narcissist. And so we keep getting back to that word, often misconstrued by people to just be outrageous, selfish, whatever kind of person. But in reality, a lot of these people are not what you see. They're very good at hiding it, especially in the outward public. As a result, because especially if you're bipolar, you're going to be subject to things like mood dysregulation from time to time, or just maybe more manic hyperactivity or lower depressive states, which require more sleep or just a little more sympathy or self-care or things like that. And, quite honestly, there's no way to really say this other than bluntly. To a narcissist, you're a burden in that sense and inferior. And these are all reasons to level various forms of abuse at you throughout life, particularly emotionally. You'll be degraded a lot, called worthless, unlovable, ugly inside and out, things like that. And that's really just the start of it. In my own situation, it's even gotten to the point where, due to how institutional DEI can influence certain narcissists as well, when defending myself, I've been called a white savior more than once, which really, when it comes from somebody that's supposed to love you deeply and support you, that really doesn't feel good at all. And so, that's just part of it. And so, being bipolar 2 as well, you're going to have fluctuations quite honestly, in your sexual desires, sometimes you're more hypersexual, sometimes you're less sexual. And for somebody narcissistic, or you know, a partner who's narcissistic, that's a real key area of weaponization, in terms of your own moods. If you don't have the right mood or the right control that they want at a given point in time, bye-bye sex life. And if you're in a hypersexual state, that's extremely torturous and degrading too, depending on how they go about it. And likewise, if you're in the other state, they can weaponize it and say, oh, well, you never want to blah 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 when I do, and you must not be attracted to me. All of these things that just really are not true whatsoever. But because you're an easy target, being bipolar, it becomes a thing. We could keep going on to that there's a tendency in narcissistic individuals to lie and manipulate to get your way. And being bipolar, you have so much inner chaos anyway. Really what you're looking for is peace and appeasement and sort of a happy life. And so as a result, when it comes to simple promises like, oh, your narcissistic partner offers to pay their share of the bills, which might be utilities, internet, things like that, while you pay rent, you're going to find as time goes on that these promises are never going to be met, and you're just going to be left on your own with all the bills, the damage in the end, etc. And that just kind of adds to the soul-crushing nature of it, especially if you're someone like myself, where you kind of come from humble beginnings. You really work your life off to get somewhere like an advanced, elite PhD, only to find that, every time you have a creative idea based on your own education, life experiences, challenges, it's met with extreme resistance or flat out sabotage, so that you never actually meet your full potential. And so all while this is going on, there's just financial damage galore, emotional damage galore, sexual damage galore. And it takes a real toll on not just your mind, but your body as well. You find yourself, often with frequent infections because your immune system is just totally shot from the system and from just this whole systemic way of living. And then that subjects you to more abuse because you're weak, your immune system sucks, whatever it is. You're inferior to this person. Going back to the sexual treatment, it causes literal sexual dysfunction at times in men, which can then be used against you. You get, along with the immune system challenges, things like chronic body pain, especially if you, like myself, you've played sports and you have a lot of permanent injuries, or skin effects like eczema, dry cracking skin, acne that you didn't have before at times, things like that. And again, stress levels, cortisol levels, other hormone fluctuations, it happens. But you're going to be seen as like something crusty, gross in these situations by your narcissist, and a reason to be discarded. They always know better with respect to your medical treatment or medication. If you find something that works, for example, me being a tech guy, for a long while, pre-exposure mainstream media, we were really into psychedelic medicine, understanding that it actually worked for certain trauma-based problems, and even bipolar to a certain degree, well before the last couple of years. And God forbid I ever looked in new and boundary pushing paths for my own health and didn't just go along with the prescribed treatments that doctors were pushing, regardless of knowledge of chemistry. For God's sakes, we now know that depression and such aren't even caused by the chemical imbalances in the body that we once thought, and we don't fully know how antidepressants work, other than just some work on some people, others on others, and that's about it. And we're kind of in the Stone Ages there. but narcissists don't really see the reality for what it is. So again, you're going to face a lot of resistance there. And when you kind of couple all of these challenges, in mind, you basically just find somebody who just by the day is breaking down physically, spiritually, mentally, and no matter how strong you are, it's going to happen to you. It's just a matter of how long and how bad it looks and how much damage there is. That said, this whole time, why do you stay in it? Really, for me, it was that I have two beautiful children and I don't want to be out of their life. I love them more than anything in this universe. But the whole time, while you're trying to get your own treatment, solve your own problems, understand why, you keep going back to these feelings, these mood swings, whatever it is, you're just kind of getting thrown through the gauntlet the whole time. You're basically being threatened with primarily your kids being taken away from you and your mental illness being weaponized in such a way that you'll never see them again, which is the hardest thing one can ever do, or go through as a man, especially if you love your children. So that said, you'll put yourself, if you have kids, through hell and back just to make sure you can see the smiles on their faces and make sure you have the best chance of giving them good influence in life. Inevitably, as my own situation kind of tells you, when you're dealing with narcissists, especially as somebody with complex mental issues of their own, 90+% chance it does not work out well. It does not work out peacefully for you. And you will find yourself in one hell of a fight just to have those basic things that are dear to you. So that said, you really do need to find healthy outlets, healthy friends and family circle, and you need to find a way to really get yourself out of the triple F response: fight, flight, or freeze, and really claim your ownership of yourself again. Because really, what narcissistic abuse does is it chips away at your individuality, your creativity, your uniqueness as a person. And the quicker you bring those elements back to your life that are meaningful, that really do create happiness and create, a sense of community and support for you to build on, the better off you're going to be. And so here we are, Greedo's Gold Mine, a place for collectors, people who've had, issues with abuse, mental health, whatever it is, for us to have a fun little community where we can kind of escape our problems, do our thing free of judgment. Because I don't know if any of you are like me, but collecting prior to my own divorce, separation, being a source of happiness with a narcissist was a source of abuse. The more I would collect, the more I would use my creativity to make displays or want to even launch this channel, the more that was leveled at me, and just let it beat me in such a way that, as you guys see, it took me until now to finally get this launching. But believe it or not, this has been 2-3 years in the making, sort of, as I watched people like David's displaying model behavior over in the UK and Japan, and Elite Legend Toys and Collectibles, Kyle Peterson, etc. And, really kind of saw what they were doing with the hobby as I got back into it myself. And just kind of wanted to put my own twist on it over time to make it where it's not something where you're just watching, more reviews or more whatever. I mean, that's the idea of the gold mine itself. It's not just toys, it's not just collectibles, it's not just tangible items. It's the intangible as well. And that's, I think even bigger value than anything I could ever talk about in the world of Star Wars, Marvel Legends, WWE Elite and Ultimate, etc. So yeah, thank you guys for bearing through this one. We're gonna have more of these as time goes on, just to kind of explore, more facets of, what it feels like to be in a narcissistically abusive relationship. What it feels like to heal from that, what it looks like. And please drop some comments below, like and subscribe if you want more of this content. And please suggest topics for me when it comes to these particular more knowledge-based conversations. I really want to help you guys more than even talk about myself at this point. So yeah, the only way I can do that is to get ideas from you guys just as much as I spit them out on this end. So again, thank you all for your time. This is another episode down on Greedo's Gold Mine. Please look out for more content. Again, like and subscribe, and we will catch you guys on the next one.